A very good evening to you all and welcome to News Tonight, the second edition here on UBC TV. First of all, let's have a look at what's making headlines at this hour.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
In our top stories tonight, opposition legislators return to Parliament after 1 week out. Defying presidential directives, 7 teachers arrested in Uganda over illegal teaching. To Tunisia, where Tunisian president to hold national dialogue to end political crisis in the country. And in sports, Uganda and Rwanda face off in yet another episode of sports this Thursday.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, and we are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Following a 3-day busy schedule in the United Arab Emirates, where he presided over the Uganda National Day at the Dubai Expo 2020, and an official visit to Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa for the inauguration of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has returned home. During his visit to the UAE, the president held a series of meetings with the leaders of the UAE, including His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the United Arab Emirates Forces and ruler of Abu Dhabi, various prospective investors and the Uganda diaspora in the UAE. The Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, Minister for the Presidency, Millie Bambalanda, and the Head of Public Service and Secretary to the Cabinet, Lucina Chobe Mbonyi, received the President at Entebbe International Airport. Also at the airport to receive the President were the service chiefs, the CDF of the UPDF, General Wilson Mbadi, Assistant Inspector General of Police Andrew Sorowen, and David Ahimbisiwe, Director, Human Resource in Uganda Prisons, representing the Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Johnson Byabashaija. To the August House now, where a leader of opposition in Parliament, Matthias Impuga, has informed the House that they are to present a motion to Parliament on investigation of alleged human rights abuses for the past 12 months. His statement roots back to the arrest of the 2 legislators, Alan Sewanyana of Machindia West and that of Kawempe North, Mohamed Sejirinya. We have more of that in this report.
To have you back, and we'll continue working together as Parliament of Uganda for the good of our country. Last week, opposition members of Parliament stormed out of plenary sitting in disagreement of the manner of arrest and rearrest of their colleagues Alan Sewanyana of Machindia West and Mohamed Segirinya of Kawempe North, who had been remanded to Kitalia prison in connection to massacre killings, were rearrested after release. Opposition MPs who exited the sittings in dissatisfaction of the responses by the Minister of Security announced a boycott of the sittings until their colleagues are produced before courts of law.
I am constrained to continue leading my team, Mr. Speaker, in these circumstances because you are mimicking the truth.
However, on resumption of plenary, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Matthias Impuga, told the House that their return is to demand for justice and fair trial of their colleagues.
We are not back because things are okay, but because we are the legislators for our people.
He says even after their continued demand for justice and fairness for many other people under incarceration, nothing has since yielded.
And we still make the same demands that due process is followed and that the exercise to a quick, transparent and fair trial, so that them and other citizens can see the beauty of being ruled under the law, not by the law.
Citing the 19 people who were arrested last year and still under incarceration without being produced to court, opposition is yet to present a motion to Parliament over the investigations on alleged human rights abuses for the past 12 months.
Whether it wouldn't be procedural okay to demand that you instruct government to respond on the fate of those citizens that disappeared and were taken by state actors. They're not in court. A trace in any prison has not yielded any output.
For this, but we shall interact and get more information.
They want Parliament to come up with modalities that protect members during such times, including welfare.
Protection and help, welfare and otherwise, does the institution of Parliament that employs me offer, Madam Speaker?
The salary of members has not been cut off. Members are still getting their full salary because there is a presumption of innocence. And if you, as we've pledged, if there is any problem, they want any medical attention, they want anything, our officers are available.
Alan Sewanyan of Machindye, Muhammad Segninyo of Kawempe North and the co-accused border rider were sent back to Kitalia as they wait their bail application in High Court. Susan Naonga reporting for UBC TV.
State Minister in charge of Economic Monitoring, Peter Ogwang, has highlighted a number of social economic transformations achieved by Uganda, as well as areas that need concentration to transform Uganda as it is set to celebrate its 59th independence. Among the key areas is education, agriculture and ICT. Now, this year's celebration will be commemorated under the theme Celebrating our 59th Independence Day as we secure our future through national mindset change.
Celebrate the 59th independence, State Minister for Economic Monitoring, Peter Ogwang, who represented the Minister for Presidency, Millie Babalanda, has highlighted key areas achieved by government. In education, the minister says the number of secondary schools going kids has increased to over 2 million now.
We have invested a lot in educating our people using new and refocused circular. It is true we have problems in this area, but we also made impressive gains and we shall continue to do so. There are 53 universities in Uganda, 9 of them are public and 44 are private. And constant colleges therefore and more are in the pipeline.
In ICT sector, there have been increased employment and growth opportunities to 500,000 direct and indirect jobs.
There are over 2 million users on My Uganda platform each month. 37 MDAs are using the unified messaging and collaboration systems. Over 106 e-services can be accessed through e-service portal www.ecitizen.go.ug. Government is promoting ICT innovations to create jobs for import substitution and to avoid over-dependence on foreign ICT products.
Other areas included the agriculture sector, where about 64% of Ugandans are employed, the healthy sector, energy and economic infrastructure.
The journey to become a self-sustaining in areas of engineering and ICT is on course. Total power generation capacity of energy sector has increased more than 6-fold since the early 2000s. The installation of the large-scale hydro power dams has contributed more significantly to the increased capacity. The installed capacity comfortably meets the country's peak demand for electricity currently, raising concerns about the oversupply.
Jane Ramchia reporting for UBC.
Let's remain in the August House momentarily, where members of Parliament seem to have divergent views on Uganda's 59th independence anniversary, although agreeing on some aspects. They say in health and education sectors there is a change, although the political and democratic aspect have gaps. However, State Minister for Animal Industry, Bret Rwamirama, says Uganda is a democratic country. Our reporter Henry Okrut gives us more.
Independence. He is now reading the budget framework paper.
Because we need a big statement on issues of security in this country.
This was in a reaction to a statement by State Minister for Economic Monitoring, Peter Ogwang. He had just highlighted social, economic and political achievements of Uganda since independence.
We have increased the number of secondary schools going children to over 2 million students now. There are about 53 universities. 9 of them are public and 44 are private.
Whereas members of parliament agree with some highlights, they are unhappy with others. They even took the debate outside the chambers of the House.
I really feel the health department has quite improved because currently we have so many health centers around.
The Uganda then is not the Uganda now. There's been some improvement in terms of infrastructure, in terms of agriculture development. So in the other aspects, there is need to improve, and we make it better for our people.
They describe as wanting progress in the political and democratic arena.
In the books it's there, but practically it's really wanting. There is so much to do.
This time we are requesting His Excellency the President, when he's going to commemorate this particular year, is to tell Ugandans his retirement plan. Let the child who is now 35 years should get to know when is the president going to retire.
But to what extent do other legislators share this point of view?
This is a new government. People were in the other government, we have a new parliament. As long as somebody is popular, why should it be a problem?
I don't think that the president has forced himself on the people of Uganda. The people of Uganda are the ones that get into elections, and they continue electing the president as the president of the Republic of Uganda. So how do you retire yourself when people are still wanting you?
We had a peaceful transfer of power from Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to Yoweri Kaguta to Buhaburwa.
Uganda will commemorate its independence anniversary on 9th October 2021. This will be on the theme, celebrating our 59th Independence Day as we secure our future through national mindset change. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Anti-Corruption Court has charged 3 officers from the Office of the Prime Minister with abuse of office, corruption and causing financial loss to government. The 3 accused persons allegedly caused 900 million shillings loss to Ugandan government when they procured and supplied substandard items which were meant as relief to the people of Kasese flood victims.
The 3 officers from the Office of the Prime Minister paraded in Anti-Corruption Magistrates Court include Kaima Godfrey, the Under-Secretary and Accounting Officer, Mugerachi Zito, the Principal Disaster Management Officer, and Dick Soka Cyprian, Procurement Officer at the Office of the Prime Minister. Before Magistrate Asido Joan, the 3 were charged with abuse of office, corruption and causing financial loss to government. However, they all pleaded not guilty.
Did an arbitrary act prejudicial to the interest of his employer, to wit, without a written contract and clearance from the Solicitor General, irregularly made payment worth Uganda shillings 298 million.
The said Anthony David Mugamba informed court that inquiries are still ongoing and asked court for more time. He also asked court to issue criminal summons to the accused Rosna Kabugo, Commissioner Disaster Preparedness Management, Daudi Bukomeko, Principal Assistant Secretary, and Odong, the Disaster Management Officer, to compel them appear in court in the next session, which was granted in court. The accused, through their lawyers, prayed to court to be granted bail by presenting sureties and land titles. Prosecution didn't object to the accused bail's application. however, asked court all the suspects to deposit their passport and land titles in court until the completion of the case, which court granted. The magistrate Asiro granted them bail of 50 million Ugandan shillings, each cash, and surety is 500 million non-cash.
Each surety is bonded to 500 million shillings, not cash. Then all the three accused persons now before court shall deposit the original copy of their passports and land title in court.
Prosecution alleges that between the month of May and June 2021, at the Prime Minister's office in Kampala, the three procured and supplied substandard items meant for Kasese residents who were affected with floods. Court resumes on the 8th of November 2021 when the case will come for mention. Nantong Rebecca, Namamonde Deborah, UBC News.
On matters pertaining to courts, now Director of Public Prosecution has withdrawn all charges from the 14 accused persons who are facing charges of abuse of office, corruption and conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor. The 14 allegedly participated in the demolition of St. Peter's Church of Uganda, located in Indeba last year.
The 14 suspects include Kasui Rashid, Bulega Alex, Sechito Badl, Kawoya Muhammad, Mojuzi Andrew, Matov Simon, Mutebi Abbas, Muluta Bashiru, among others. Before Magistrate Asio Joan, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution decided to withdraw all the charges against them. However, prosecution declined to withdraw all the charges from the prime suspect, Dodoviko Mwanje, and other 4 police officers. DPP did not give any reason for withdrawing the charges. Now those who are pending with charges in court include the prime suspect, Dodoviko Mwanje, SSP Agiro Rashid, a police officer attached to Kampala Metropolitan, SP Odela Martin, police officer attached to Kampala Metropolitan South Zonale, ASP Sabile Kalolia Field police officer attached to Katwe Police Station, and Ivan Katongole, the urban plan officer, Kampala Capital Store Authority. Court once again read the charges to the accused. However, they maintained they are not guilty. Since investigations were done in this matter, prosecution asked court to kick off with the hearing of the case. However, the accused's lawyers objected, asking court to withdraw the charges from the accused.
And what I'm saying from the charge sheet, the acts which Katongore is alleged to have done do not amount to offences in law, so he shouldn't have been charged.
Because in our view, there is no valid charge against any of these accused persons. We are eagerly waiting for the nature of the evidence which they are going to bring.
We leave it now to court to make a ruling on what has been presented to it. But by and large, we all believe that the charges are a sham, an embarrassment, and very petty against the accused persons.
The magistrate Joani Asio adjourned the matter to 2nd December 2021, when court will resume with the hearing of the case, and also to give its ruling on the application filed by the defense lawyers, objecting the offences against their clients. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Squatters on Chambogo University land have been asked to first register and also disclose how they acquired the land. According to Chambogo University and the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, the registration process will run for a period of 2 weeks. This was disclosed in a meeting with chairpersons of the residents on Chambogo University land, the State House Anti-Corruption Unit and the legal team from Chambogo University, which was held in Kampala.
Over 12 chairpersons from the 6 villages, composed of 4,000 squatters, have met with the legal team from Chambogo University and the head of State House Anti-Corruption Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema.
So we have been really, even at the moment, we are getting a lot of challenges, which is similar to the rest of these colleagues who have mentioned, that they don't really know the true owner of the land where they are, which is being disputed.
Nti government engeri ettaka gye liri ddene etusalireko ekitundu etuwa ebyapa byawo etukulakulanyizeewo ekitundu ekisigadde ekola eki ekikozese oba nannyini ttaka yenna.
During this meeting, Colonel Edith Nakalima urged the residents to stay calm so that everything is sorted amicably.
Okuddamu mbakubirize temuteekamu maanyi timwagala kulwana kubanga yo government machinery togirwanyisa togisobola mujja kwesanga nga ate muli basibe kyetutayagala bw'oba oli mu kayumbako ng'okimanyi bulungi nti era ettaka lyoliko si liryo gwe beera mu ddembe okutuusa ab'obuyinza bwe banaakugamba nti kakati ekidirira kikino naye ebyo ebyokuteekamu amaanyi nga bwe twalaba ennaku ez'emabega nga waliwo abaagala okumenya geeti eya university. Tosobola kumenya geeti ya university ate nga bo bali ku ttaka lyabwe emyaka mingi.
Although squatters had filed some cases against Kyambogo University before claiming ownership of the land, Claire Ninsima, the head legal unit, Kyambogo University, highlighted on this dispute.
So the stalling of the case in the High Court is not the problem of Kyambogo University, but it's the problem of you people who lodged it before court and did not conclude the matter. Because when mediation fails, there are other processes that follow within the realms of court. So we are at that stage.
In response, Israel Ocho, the principal legal officer, State House Anti-Corruption Unit, and the legal team from Kyambogo University advised the squatters to first register and also to highlight on how they acquired the said land.
Determine a number of people who are making claims against the university so that then those claims can be looked into. Those lists are going to be availed here, and we are going to look through them and look at the various interests and see how we guide both the tenants, the occupants, the people in these settlements, and the university.
We really spent a lot of money. Our claim against Kyambogo University would be the time they encouraged us to construct there. We have spent a lot of money. We would have even invested that money somewhere else. If Kyambogo University is not saying they are the landlord today, and I wanted them to be very clear over this issue.
According to State House Anti-Corruption Legal Team and Kyambogo University, the registration will be conducted within a period of 2 weeks from now.
Status of that land as being properly vested in Kyambogo University, and they have agreed to go back, enumerate themselves, so that then they can engage and have formal discussions with Kyambogo. Yes.
According to the Ministry of Lands, Kyambogo University acquired the said land in 1967, which now has over 4,000 squatters from 6 villages. Natango Rebecca, Namamode Deborah, UBC News.
The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the World Health Organization are supporting the Ministry of Health to catalyze action on non-communicable diseases by providing multi-sectoral technical and advocacy support for 2021 and 2022. The 2-year program was launched to help countries scale up multi-sectoral action through whole of government, parliament, and whole of society responses.
In Uganda, 1 in 4 adults die from non-communicable diseases before the age of 70. NCDs claim around 100,000 Ugandans each year, with nearly 1 in 4 of the adults dying early.
They are preventable because they are non-communicable, but they are taking 33% of our people, killing more people in Uganda than any other disease.
Non-communicable diseases are a major cause of premature death and ill health in Uganda. They threaten progress towards the 2030 Agenda for SDGs, which includes a target of reducing premature deaths from NCDs by 1/3 by 2030.
We did an investment case in 2019, and the analysis showed that the country had spent close to about $1.4 billion in addressing non-communicable diseases, which is 4.1% of the gross domestic product. If nothing is done about it, in 15 years, we're going to spend about 5.8% of GDP in addressing the issue. We needed to partner as the largest United Nations agency in the United Nations family, to bring attention to the issue. And I think COVID has shown us that there has been fault lines.
Uganda is among the 3 sub-Saharan African countries out of 46 that are to benefit from this program.
In addition to the evidence that we have from Uganda, so rich a country in evidence generation. That's why when we thank Ministry of Health, we thank the government of Uganda, we know what we are talking about. So the receptability, how open your door is, qualifies you to be one of these 3 countries. The political will is good, and the readiness to take it further. When the president himself is the one leading the command on COVID-19 response, you know what that means. So these are the reasons why the attraction to Uganda.
Government will also invest in screening, diagnosis, treatment and the provision of palliative care to better manage NCDs. Sandra Kahunde, Andrew Sebira, UBC News.
Today in history.
Uganda's then President Milton Obote launched the expanded program of immunization on this day. This function took place at Mulago Hospital in Kampala, where he also launched an X-ray unit worth 1,200,000 Duchess mark. The programs were intended to curb the killer diseases such as diphtheria, pneumonia, measles, and tuberculosis.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Get vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Now, tonight, UBC TV starts a long week series of pre- and post-political events towards the post-independent Uganda in 1962. Tonight, Timothy Sibasi looks at part one of the formation of political parties in Uganda from 1952 to 1962, when Uganda got independence on October 9th, 1962, and the pitfalls of the parties that formed the post-independent multi-party politics. In part one of the series, Assistant Professor Gerald Barebi and Lecturer of International Contemporary Politics at the University of York examines the formation of Uganda National Congress, UNC, and its pitfalls that gave birth to a splinter party, the Democratic Party, and why the DP has failed to transcend to power from the 60s to date.
First political party in Uganda was formed in 1952, the Uganda National Congress. This party, by independence, would have developed into a national political movement, dominating the politics of Uganda like in other colonial countries like Tanganyika, but had fundamental weaknesses like lack of strong, united and inspiring leadership, with a clear vision for stable and prosperous Uganda. However, by independence, UNC had broken up and three major parties had developed in its places: DP, UBC and KY. The first president of UNC was Ignatius Musazi. There are several pitfalls to explain its crumble.
First of all, religion. That's why the disagreement between the Catholics and the Protestants inside that party, with each group breaking up, Catholics forming a Democratic Party and Protestants forming the Uganda People's Congress.
Despite of the breakdown based on religious, there was also the Buganda question, piloted by Baganda royalists within UNC. These overshadowed what would be the nationalistic agenda of UNC.
Within the Uganda National Congress, there were three main disagreements. One, the Catholics; second, the Protestants; but third, the Uganda royalists. So the formation of Kabaka Yeka was first and foremost to cater for the interest of Uganda.
During the constitutional changes, the UNC had become so unpopular that out of the 81 elected members in the National Assembly, UNC had only one representative.
They wanted really to form a national party that would be dominant, that would dominate Uganda's politics in the next 5 to 50 to probably decades. But what they did not know was that Uganda was quite a very different society. Uganda was an amalgamation of different communities together, different kingdoms together. But all these communities and all these kingdoms that you can explain had serious political interests.
The party members such as Apollo Milton Obote, B.K. Kuria, J.W. Kiwanuka and A.K. Mayanja, whose party later led Uganda to independence, drew their inspiration from Musazi's UNC.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
Though the exit of UNC gave birth to a strong Democratic Party in 1954 under Matayo Mugwanya as first President General, it is said at its inception it was exclusively Roman Catholic in its inspiration and membership against the Protestant hegemony in politics.
And you could argue that maybe was Britain having a hand in this disagreement that emerged between the Catholics and the Protestants within the post-independence Ugandan politics? Probably yes. But I would argue that you cannot rule that one out, especially given that some of these leaders were actually British educated.
The Democratic Party had a genuine grievance against discrimination. The Catholics alleged that they were being discriminated against appointments for public offices.
That was actually the main driving force that led to the formation of the Democratic Party. Now, the Democratic Party actually has maintained its, I would say, historical has roots. It still remains largely a Catholic party. And maybe with recently, I would say, and surprisingly, there is no much effort within the Democratic Party to avoid that.
However, outside Buganda, the general belief was that the Catholics cannot rule. This perception still lingers on the minds of many. However, President Museveni is gradually demystifying the belief in his all-inclusive working methodology.
We have had a Protestant head of state, I mean, for how many years now? Part of it is because you wonder why. Why is it difficult to have a Catholic as a head of state? But what probably President Museveni has realized is that I need to handle this question. That's why he has made his vice president for so many years. Most of his appointees as vice presidents have been Catholics, because he wants to balance this Protestant-Catholic question.
Whereas the Democratic Party and the Catholics played a significant role in fighting communism in the Uganda National Congress.
It has been on a downside decline. It has been declining over time. And right now I think they have like 9 members of parliament, and now they cannot produce a leader or maybe a presidential candidate that can attract votes from other regions of the country. That's why I'm saying, as a party, it needs to evaluate itself and think more towards creating a national outlook. The party should reflect the national outlook.
Despite its challenges, it will always be remembered for its belief in the rule of law and the concrete proposals for constitutionalism and independence.
The problem with the DP is a problem of continuity, like I've said to you. After its first leaders, the initial leaders who formed the party, although the party has remained, it has failed to attract real, genuine leaders who are with nationalistic outlook.
The second episode on the formation of political parties in Uganda from 1950s to 1962 continues tomorrow with another in-depth analysis on the Progressive Party of 1955, Uganda People's Union of 1959, Uganda People's Congress in 1961, and its alliance with Kabaka Yeka, a year to independence, in 1961, and the intentions of that alliance. Timothy Sibasi, UBC.
Of it, and you do not have to miss the second part of that long week series of pre and post-political events as we go towards the post-independence Uganda in 1962, and as we look forward to celebrating our independence anniversary. Now, Uganda currently hosts more than 1.25 million refugees who rely on natural resources in and around refugee settlements for survival. Now, Save the Children Fund and the European Union and other development partners have launched a response that will curb the increased environmental degradation. The initiative focuses on promotion of alternative energy resources in refugee hosting districts to conserve the environment. Minister for Environment, Beatrice Anywar, who represented Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, asserted that government is giving alternative solutions to mitigate degradation.
Uganda's refugees consume at least 1.1 million tons of firewood annually in fuel. Wood is the primary source of energy security that each individual in a refugee community is estimated to consume 1.6 kilograms of firewood. With the launch of the response to increased environmental degradation and promotion of alternative energy sources in refugee settlement areas, this will mitigate the increasing environmental destruction.
The daily needs has caused a lot of degradation. There's pressure for firewood, for food, and this has resulted in the destruction of the available forest covers around the refugee settlements. And therefore, we think that this should be reversed because if it's continue, they are here with us to stay, and more are even coming in, depending on the situation in their home countries. We have undertaken to incorporate them into the conservation process.
Save the Children's Country Director Strinik Dragna and European Union Head of Cooperation Caroline agree that scarcity of resources has effects on women and girls who are involved in day-to-day collection of firewood.
We see that the increased pressure on natural resources and is also putting sometimes into question the policy, government policy on open door policy for hosting refugees. So we think it's very important to support these initiatives. We're looking at not just explaining that the environment is important and should be preserved, because if you don't offer alternatives to these communities, refugee population or host communities, Ugandans, if you don't offer alternatives, this will only be like a very short-term action with short-term impact. You have to work on providing alternatives. That means alternative cooking fuels, and this is one of the important components of this program, to avoid firewood, and alternative livelihoods to also provide these populations with an alternative to charcoal burning, for example, as a livelihood. So we feel that this program will address some of the issues, not everything. This is a donor-funded program with a lot of partners, some European partners, but also local partners, so that's also a good approach.
So we are looking to develop solutions together with youth. We are going to have innovation lab where youth will have opportunity to bring their ideas and to test them with support of this project. We are also looking to bring stoves which will save energy and also change the way people prepare their meals.
The UNCHR report 2019 indicates that less than half of the refugee population and 20% of the host community use energy-saving stoves, and more need for awareness on using alternative sources of energy is needed. Helen Barbara Jizamba, Dan Lugemwa reporting for UBC TV News.
State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, is worried about the youth for the inheritance mentality instead of working. He encouraged youth to stop engaging in lawlessness like selling off parents' wealth, as we hear in this story.
State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, is disappointed with the youth who think about inheriting wealth instead of working for it. He encourages them to commercial agriculture and support government programs that target poverty reduction. This was during the scientific celebrations of Bamunanika County Elderly Day in Luwero District at Kakola, where over 200 elderly were vaccinated against COVID-19.
Banoonyeza abantu abo abateekeddwa okuba nga bafuna ssente z'abakadde naye nga waliwo ensobi zaabwe ne batagendako, bampe lisiti eyo ne bibakwatako, bwe banga byakutereeza mu ndagamuntu, bakola ensobi mu ndagamuntu, bisobola obitereeza nabo ne babeera nga bafuna akasente.
Dr. Muyingo promised to support the elderly communities in the district and encouraged youth in town to support their parents. The director, the Aged Family Uganda in Luwero District, Fred Nyanzi, appealed to government to reduce the age limit for the elderly persons' entitlements from 80 to 60 years.
We have the Institute of Heritage Science in Kozi. We are piloting, we are starting to set up a curriculum in social gerontology and geriatric medicine, which curriculum we requested the government to approve, so that that curriculum can be used to train people in the field of social gerontology and geriatric medicine so that they can care for their older persons. As they are training nurses, as they are training social workers, they can add on social gerontology. And
the Luwero District LC5 chairperson Erosto Chibirango commended President Yoweri Museveni and the Kabaka of Buganda for being role models, especially to youth. Nafka Farida and Fred.
And they all can still dance a little bit. To Arua now, where Arua City Mayor Wadri Sam Nyakua and former legislator for Ayivu County Bernard Atiku have been criticized for making Ayivu County part of Arua City without people's consent. A section of people in Arua City who have formed themselves under a group dubbed Save Ayivu Initiative say that most of the population of Ayivu Division are poor and illiterate people who do not fit to live in a city.
General elections, and in the aftermath of the elections, members of Save Ayivu Initiative turned to demand for Ayivu District. Some of the former contestants for parliamentary seats used the matter to look for votes.
The people who have given Ayivu as the entire city just looked at the political aspect, that particularly if they give the entire Ayivu for a city, Ayivus are going to vote for Ayivus.
Recently, the Save Ayivu Initiative group petitioned Parliament and Ministry of Local Government demanding withdrawal of Ayivu Division from the city in exchange for a district status.
1st July, I received this city. Now government again is giving districts according to clans. Vora clan have their district. Terego clan have their district. We are Ayivus as a clan. We also need our district. That Ayivu be pushed away from the city.
The chairman of Save Ayivu Initiative, Adroa Levy, says the idea of putting Ayivu in the city was engineered by the former MP for Ayivu County.
We need our district. It is demanded a long time ago. It's not the government to be blamed. It is our politicians, former MP, former LC 5, with the councillors who were either bribed or they wanted to become property masters.
There are also allegations that the petitioners who participated in the consultative meetings for approving Arua City are politically frustrated people who lost in the 2021 elections and want to keep their relevance in the community.
Some of the, misunderstandings that came up leading to the president chairing 2 meetings in State House, and some of the people who are calling themselves petitioners were part of these consultative processes.
Now, when you look at the composition of these petitioners, most of them are former contestants who lost. My brother Alhaji Isa Kato stood with me and lost 3 times.
They carried placards warning Ayivu West Division MP Lomatia John during a protest against Save Ayivu Initiative group on 13th September. They demand government to create more divisions in Ayivu Division. By July 2020, Arua City was among the 15 regional cities operationalized by the government of Uganda to serve West Nile sub-region. I'm Nafka Farida and Joseph Odama.
It's a short break.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was
the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185*7# and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Be alert! Do not share your Airtel Money PIN number with anyone. Airtel Uganda employees will never ask for your Airtel Money PIN number on call, SMS, or by email. All SIM card registrations, SIM card verifications, or SIM swaps are done at clearly branded Airtel shops and not on phone. To report any fraudulent activity, please call 100 immediately. The official calling number for Airtel promotions is 0200 100 100. Stay alert on Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that short break, and now let's have a look at what's happening in the world of business. In a bid to address the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the youth, volunteers have come up with immediate remedies to support vulnerable age groups in agribusiness. The volunteers are assessing pandemic challenges in the agricultural sector, as we hear in this report.
Rose Namutebi of Business Youth Recovery Project says that they have teamed up with Standard Chartered Uganda and Code Aid Uganda to help the young entrepreneurs build resilience in business.
And today we are giving hardship grant to the young entrepreneurs to try and revive their businesses. So we are giving over 150 entrepreneurs in Lira and Nebi who are currently dealing in agribusiness. So Eco Cooperation and Code Aid, we believe that if we do this, our young entrepreneurs will be able to revive their business.
Most youth in Uganda need capacity building and information to access funding at various levels to survive in this competitive era of COVID-19.
Young entrepreneurs have been supported with various interventions. One of them is capacity building. We build their capacity in business management, communication and marketing, how do they market their products, access to finance, and we are also giving them hardship grants. This is money, the cash, that is going to be used to invest in their businesses. So they are receiving money depending on their business needs. Some people are getting between 1 to 2 million, depending on the needs that they have.
The interim manager of Code Aid Uganda, Phil Walton, is optimistic that Ugandan youth entrepreneurs need agri-support and be rewarded for their efforts. Northern Uganda as an immediate case study for their interventions towards agro-business development.
To provide capital to the youth in Uganda. One is with some funding support with partners like Standard Chartered Foundation, But also there's I think a smarter way, and that is to make it easier for rural financial institutions, MFIs and SACCOs, to better credit assess, better assess applicants, farmers. Loans are more likely to be granted, not from NGOs, but from local financial institutions.
Many Ugandans have got investment problems in that call for a solution to help them concentrate on business dreams. Stephen Kayumba for UBC News.
Now, the United Nations Capital Development Fund, in partnership with Startup Uganda, is set to hold the 2021 Kampala Innovation Week with the target of enhancing the idea of entrepreneurial incubators. The innovation is to commence on the 22nd to the 26th of November by providing young innovators an opportunity to interact with potential investors.
The power of innovation and entrepreneurship for Uganda's digital transformation, job creation and economic sustainability will be the center of the Kampala Innovation Week.
There was the need to address resource gaps and change the approach to engaging with the startup ecosystem. Startups have unique identities, unique needs and challenges they face.
Young innovators with limited funds to develop their prototypes are among the challenges the engagement is targeting.
The cost of devices and now the cost of internet that they also have to deal with. They'll see more uptake of the internet and taxing it this very early in the process, we believe will definitely have an impact in terms of its growth with regards to the number of Ugandans getting online.
The transformation of Uganda's economy into digital is confronted with inadequate research on the appropriate innovations that suit the big class of the population.
By working with partners in the policy space and providing evidence, say through such a policy tool that provides data on how is affordability affecting uptake, we might be able to support in changing the narrative and aspects of affordability backed by evidence.
The Kampala Innovation Week 2021 will converge innovators, entrepreneurs, investors, government stakeholders and development partners to discuss the growth. Abdul Nasser Duwama, UBC News.
A delegation from UN Women has visited Tunaweza Foundation offices in Kampala to ascertain the impact of their activities towards helping the underprivileged. The head of the delegation, Fumi Balugu, commended Tunaweza Foundation for supporting the underprivileged.
With the aim of serving the underprivileged due to unequal distribution of resources, Tunaweza Foundation Uganda has asked officials from UN Women Uganda to increase on the funding towards underprivileged groups. Tunaweza Foundation Executive Director Victor Narure says the COVID-19 pandemic has increased gender-based violence on women living with disabilities.
We've tried to provide referrals to 64 women and girls to different gender-based services like the police. We've been working with the police, the legal services. We have the partnership with the Action Aid Uganda, which is still part of this sub-project. We gave them a wheelchair to support women who could come when they have a disability.
Therefore, a need for an integrated outreach support to the vulnerable will build meaningful collaborations and partnerships.
People are making small groups and they are still calling us. They want to understand the saving part of it. So you find like they benefited in the training on the saving, the training in the gender-based violence, the training in the gender-based violence, but then also disability awareness.
The foundation is training counselors and paralegals in handling gender-based violence. Fumi Balugu, the leader of the delegation from the UN Women, says there is need to prioritize training in business literacy to strengthen capacity of the underprivileged.
People, children living with disabilities have always been in my heart personally as a personal story. And that's where I've always spent my time, my money, as outside of my work. So it's always very gratifying to see the amazing work that Tuneweza is doing in collaboration with UN Women, with all the beneficiaries, the staff. It's really amazing.
Some of the women showcased their items to the team, with others given wheelchairs. Sudat Kai, UBC.
Uganda's members of parliament are going through final paces in readiness for an Independence Day friendly game against Uganda ex-international footballers. Take a watch.
Over the past few days, the MTN Philip Omondi Stadium in Lugogo has witnessed early morning training sessions for Uganda's legislators. These are now going through final paces ahead of a scheduled Independence Day friendly game against Uganda's ex-international footballers.
This game is a wake-up call, is a litmus test to demonstrate the solidarity with the legends, but also going forward to send a signal to the current crop of players, those who play in different clubs, who play for the national team, those who play within and without Uganda, that there is hope. There is continuity.
Former Kampala Capital City Authority FC player Mujib Kasule is one of the brains behind this initiative.
We want them to come back in the eyes of the people. We want them to continue contributing, and as society we want to say thank you, because you created the game that we're enjoying today, and with you we can always move forward.
Busiro North MP Paul Nsubuga believes that the initiative doesn't only make Ugandans healthy but also improve legislation about sports.
When we are here, we are one. Let me give you an example. When we are here, no one even asks about the political party. Are you seeing how it is bringing the oneness? So, as honorable members, when we go out here and we go to parliament, we believe we agree on one point. Because for us, we are sportsmen, there are very many things that are going to bind us. So at least the oneness comes from the pitch to the floor of parliament.
The parliamentary team for Saturday's game will include ministers Peter Ogwang and Haruna Kasolo, while Robert Mochibi and Sadiq Wassa will highlight the ex-internationals. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
That is a game not to miss. And we've almost come to the end of this bulletin, but before we leave you, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Opposition legislators return to Parliament after 1 week out. Defying presidential directives, 7 teachers arrested in Uganda over illegal teaching. Elsewhere in the world, Tunisian president to hold national dialogue to end political crisis in the country. And in sports, Uganda and Rwanda face off in yet another episode of Sports this Thursday.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
And that's all we had time for. Thank you for keeping us company. Elizabeth Nakakoni has been on sign language, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanongoma. Wishing you a blessed night and see you tomorrow.